things. The Clemson degree is very well respected, and the Clemson degree in science is very well respected. So that helped me. I had good grades. So graduate with good grades. Work hard. Don't let that one semester get you. And then I think it's just proving that you've done your due diligence, your homework, having those volunteer hours, and really strong recommendations makes a big difference.
Did you get your application in early?
Did, yes. Yeah.
These people don't realize how important that is. Got to get those applications in early.
Yeah, and at the time that I was applying, a lot of the universities, in fact, all of the universities interviewed. I don't believe MUSC is interviewing anymore. Western Carolina does not interview anymore, but I do think some of the schools are interviewing. So if they do interview, be prepared for that. Yes?
Is there a personal statement involved in your application?
Most of them require some sort of essay or some sort of reason that you want to do this. And be able to really articulate that. Don't just, I want to help people. You get that all the time. But you really need to articulate what drives you, what desire do you have. Personal story, I was in 8th grade. I had a friend, we were sledding down the mountain at my house, and in Georgia it doesn't snow very often, kind of like Clemson. And we were snow sledding, and she slid off the sled and broke her back. And she became a T8 paraplegic. She went to Craig Rehab in Colorado and has done beautifully. And that was one of my inspirations to be a PT and to specialize in spinal cord injury rehab. So, if you got a personal story you can tell, that's a good thing to tell. What else?
What about male-female ratio?
There's always more females in PT than males.
What's the percentage, would you?
It depends. North Georgia University, we always used to laugh when their students came to Warm Springs. They were about half and half, but it's usually about 75-25. So guys, good ratio. What else?
What would you say is the percentage of you got so many applicants? How many of those applicants actually get in? So what's the ballpark percentage as far as acceptance from those that do apply? Do you have any idea?
I'd have to guess 30-40%. And the numbers have fluctuated. I don't know, you guys weren't around then, but there's been some time frames in 1997, early 2000s, when the medical field took a hit because of a thing called the Balanced Budget Act. I don't know if you have studied healthcare policy. But there was a cycle, and just like we're dealing with national healthcare reform right now, there's always a cycle when there's a huge policy change where applications across the board for medical and physical therapy and OT went down. Now applications are way back up to those levels we saw in the early 90s, late 80s. And there's lots of needs for healthcare professionals, so you're in high demand.
I keep asking these questions, but what would you say is the attrition rate? Say, I know that a lot of professionals, doctors, dentists, and other health professions, especially females, will stay in dentistry, maybe stay 5, 6, 8 years, and then they decide they want to start a family, or for some reason they no longer practice. So right. Is that something you see?
It's a high attrition rate, especially for females. In my class of 24, there are 4 of us left that work full time. And I'm the only female. What's wrong with me?
Why do you think that is? Because
I think people go decide they'll work part-time or raise kids, and this is a great profession if you ever think you want to not work full-time. You want to work part-time. Now, my mama might kick me if I said that, but anyway, but the reality is that it's a nice, flexible profession, and a lot of medical professions are, in that you can work less than 40 hours a week if you want to.
And you can do things like work, 12-hour shifts or 3
days?
Yeah,
we have people that work 3 10s, 4 10s. You know, even in outpatient orthopedics. Now in inpatient, there's a lot of variation. I have friends who just work weekends. They just do weekends. They work 2 12-hour days on the weekends, and then they don't work really. Usually when you do that, you get paid a little more for those 2 12-hour days because you're covering weekend shifts that are harder to fill. So there's some opportunities like that. Now in therapy, there's typically not a third shift or a second shift like there is in nursing. Usually the hours are, you know, somewhere between 7A and 7P, depending on where you work. And if you work in an inpatient environment, there will be rotating weekends. You don't usually ask to work every weekend, but you rotate weekends to cover, just like in the medical world where you have call. So basically, depends on the setting you work in. A lot of outpatient orthopedic environments, you don't work weekends. So there's lots of options and choices as far as hours that you work and time frames that you work and days that you work, depending on where you choose to work, what setting you choose to work.
And our PT schools, like med schools and dental schools, if you get in, you pretty well graduate. There's not very many people that
There's a rare
flunk out.
occasion that somebody will flunk out or not make it. We made it with our full 24. At MUSC, when I taught at MUSC, we would occasionally lose one student in a year based on some event that occurred. But once you get in, they're very motivated for you to stay in. And you've typically proven that you can make it by what you've done here in your undergrad world. So it's not a problem typically academically, and they're going to be focused on making sure that you've got the skills that you need, because they don't want the reputation of sending students out there that don't know what they're doing. So the faculty that I've worked with MUSC faculty, I've worked with the Western Carolina faculty, are very dedicated faculty. They're very engaged with their students. There's a lot of one-on-one. It's a lot of fun. PT school's fun. It's a lot of hard work, but you get to know your classmates better than you ever wanted to really know.
With med school, you have to take your USMLEs, which are your board exams. You have 3 different settings for
Right.
that. What about PT school? Do you have to take
It's
just
one
one at the end?
Yeah. Now, some of your universities require a comprehensive exam at the end, which is a cumulative exam for your entire time there. Some do not. And then MUSC does not. I can tell you that for sure. Western Carolina does not. I don't know about USC. But you go and you take your board exam. You pass your board exam at a certain level. Then when you want to go to other states, you apply for licensure in that state. And typically it's called reciprocity, where you can you just pay their fees, go through their hoops, send your transcripts, and then you get a licensure. You don't have to retake your exam.
Is that a day-long exam? Does it take all day?
6 hours, I think. And it's computerized now. How many of you do computer-based testing? Do you all do that now? Get good at that, because you know, there's different strategies for that than there are paper-based tests. Most of your PT, do you use laptops in your class? You have smart classrooms? So most PT programs have gone to that. So, you know, you're getting your notes on your computer, you're taking tests on your computer. So everything's pretty computer-based these days.
Are you recertified ever so often? Do
Yeah.
you have to go?
Relicensure every 2 years. You have to have 30 hours of continuing education every 2 years in order to keep your license. And that's approved education courses, but those are pretty fun to do, all of them.
Do you retake a test when you do that, or is it just?
Just sending in your continuing education units, your CEUs. Every 2 years you get a notice from the state board that it's time to re-up your license. You pay the fees, you send in the courses that you took and the hours you took. And then they send you your license, and then they randomly audit people to make sure that folks have not told stories.
Are these courses like readily available? Are they online?
Oh, everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. They all have different costs. Like I taught a Medicare class Friday for 8 hours. It was continuing ed class. So they're all over the board in a ton of different interest areas. So way more than you can ever take. And a lot of your facilities offer, Like our facility offers when people come to work for us, if they want to do a residency in sports medicine, or if they want to get their doctorate when they've got a master's, we actually assist them in getting a postgraduate doctorate or residency in a specialty area. So some employers offer that. All right, I think we're close to getting, y'all are getting the glazed look. I will hang out and answer questions if you didn't want to ask one in public. Thank you for inviting me here. I hope I gave you some information that was helpful.
Thank you so much for coming.